Hello everyone, and welcome to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for the final race in our Mopar Pro Superbike National Championship Series. I'm your series announcer, Frank Wood. Today's race is brought to you by Dalton Timmis Insurance, Honda, Magneti Marelli offered by Mopar, Drift, and Dunlop.
We're here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park on board facing backwards from the BMW of Samuel Trepanier, a rider who's looking to make a big charge here. He has some work cut out for him in a very fast field as we head out for our warm-up lap. Ben
Young heading out in the warm-up lap. Initially he was at the lead. They reminded me of Bodie Eady, how he used to sprint off on the warm-up laps. But here they are coming through turn one and making the right way up through turn two. On the first,
we're seeing a good selection of drift onboard cameras, and this is Marcel Ernie's helmet cam. A few years ago here, he was the first rider to use the drift camera that we now have on board with pretty much everyone. Now we're looking back from the cockpit of Ernie's BMW as he heads down through turn two. You can see the drift camera on his helmet, and here we see the grid starting at the back, working our way to the front. Important, Frank, to mention, this grid is established in an unusual way. It's by fastest laps from yesterday's race. If you had a big problem in yesterday's race, such as say Trepanier, who crashed early on, you can't drift back below the top 10, but nonetheless it certainly hurt him, and will add some action. Of course, that's part of the reason the organizers have these strange grids in various series. Fastest lap is not a bad way to do it, but I think right now Trepanier is not too keen on it.
Well, last year, 2017, right at this very track, it was Trepanier that benefited from that. He was sitting on the pole for Sunday's race after setting the fast lap in the Saturday contest.
You saw outside on the third row there, Tremblay, who's been running a 600 all year, but he's on a Kawasaki 1000 and showing very well on his return to the big bike. Now we see the first row of the grid. Interesting. 2 BMWs, 2 Kawasaki's, a little diversity at the front.
Nice to see that for a change. Riders now making their way out of turn 10, and they will take their assigned starting spots. There's Jeff Williams waving to the rest of the riders as he makes his way down. And again, they'll take their spots, and Young just pulling up alongside Michael Leon there. Michael's been having a very good weekend here as well. He seems to be getting faster as the year goes on, actually.
Well, that seems to be the normal way with Leon, and some of our older front-running pros maybe take a little more time to get rowing, and I'm sure he'd love to have about 3 more races, and if all of them were here, that would suit him too. Yesterday, we saw a terrific race. Ben Young took his first career victory. That allowed the championship to stay open heading into this round between Zoke and Young. And so Young, really the pressure is on him to win. If Zoke can finish 14th or better, he's okay, but he's been struggling with mechanical issues, so some things to track throughout today's race.
Quite so. Kawasaki on pole, Kawasaki on the outside. The Pro 6 cycle lights now coming on. When those lights go off, the field will be launched, and away they go. And it looks like Ben Young and Trevor Daly both got very good starts there as they steam down into turn number 1. And it is Jeff Williams also sneaking in there into a 4th spot on board with Trevor Daly once more taking a ride up towards turn number 2. He's sitting in 3rd spot right now. Good start for Daly.
And Jeff Williams had an unbelievable start from the 2nd row. He was briefly 4th. I think he's 5th right now. But now we're with Jordan Zoke, who is hunting a championship. 2nd place off the grid is going to be considered a good start, and he's tailing Young as played out for much of yesterday's race.
And meanwhile, this man, Kenny Reedman, we were on board with him for just a moment, sitting back in 4th spot there. So we have 2 BMWs leading and the 2 Kawasaki's running 3rd and 4th, and then Williams on the BMW number 7 sitting back in 5th spot.
And I think Trepanier's in 9th, maybe with Nickerson right with him. So not a great start from Trepanier, who was looking for a very big start to get up with the leaders right away.
On to the dyno on the back straightaway, and Young has got some yardage already. Boy, he's going for a ride here.
Talk about going for a ride there. We see Reedman looking on the inside of a fellow Kawasaki. Daly shuffled back to 4th. Williams a very close 5th, and I think that's McBride and Leon following. So a little closer together than on the first lap yesterday.
That was a nicely executed pass by Kenny Reedman. No drama there at all. He got it done before they actually got into the turn and cemented himself into 3rd spot there. Now he sets off in pursuit of Jordan Zoke first, of course, and then he'll be after Ben Young.
Now, Ben Young's first order of business is to lead the most laps, so he is probably going to set a pretty good pace. Remember, the bikes are full of fuel. They've just come off the tire warmers. The Dunlop slicks are nice and fresh right now, so Young is going to try to ride just hard enough that nobody wants to try and take the pace away, and when he's sure he's got the laps led bonus, then he's going to see where he is. Of course, in a perfect situation, he'd like to be pulling away, but at this track in Superbike, it's almost impossible because of the slipstream factor up the back straight.
Yeah, we've seen that happen so often. Young, of course, the only rider in this field that can possibly stop Jordan Zoke's run of championships at 12. The way he can do it, of course, is to win this race and hope that Zoke finishes well back.
On board with Daly as he is slipstreaming the very fast BMW of Jeff Williams. Jam and Jeff doing well on his return to the series. He's been getting better, as you talked about with Leon. That has certainly applied to Williams, and they've often battled at the Shannonville Regional Series. And we should mention Eli Ducash, the champion at the Super Series at Shannonville, is here competing on his R1 and showing well too.
Yeah, this is the first year for Ducash on board a Superbike. He won that championship at Shannonville on an R6, somewhat altered R6, but nonetheless a 600cc machine.
And there we can see the top three are opening up a lead, maybe not quite as fast as yesterday, but this is a familiar scenario. Now, yesterday, Daly took a while to get going, and he eventually marched his way up to fourth. Right now, Daly is, if not fourth, I think he is now ahead of Williams. Yeah. That could be good. That might allow those guys to keep their pace going, because Daly is a guy who's going to ride as hard as he can every lap, and we got a waved yellow in turn 3.
Well, I was going to comment that Daly perhaps made his pass a little bit early, but obviously it worked, so there's no criticism there. But he didn't stay in Williams' draft for very long before he pulled out the pass.
This is important, Frank. We just saw on board there with Trepagny, and he is trying to deal with Tremblay, so he is not making the kind of progress we expected, nor the kind of progress he would want. And, Tremblay is a good rider, very fast, won his first national at Shubenacadie a few weeks ago, but hasn't been on the 1,000 much lately. So Trepagny, you would have expected to march further ahead in that group racing for fourth position.
Well, Trepagny, there we are on board with Trepagny right now, as a matter of fact, and we're chasing that Turcotte Performance Gulf-sponsored Kawasaki of Tremblay, and I think Trepagny got the pass done there, Colin.
And I think that is for 8th, if I can do my count back. So now it's actually, there's a little bit of a gap there between the battle for 4th, 4 bikes, and Trepagny. So that's got to be his next step to try and climb in with Leon, and I think McBride, Daly, and I'm missing somebody. There's 4 of them in that group.
Well, there is a fist fight for 4th going on now as our top 3 riders on board with Jordan Zoke right now, and chasing after Ben Young, and of course Kenny Reedman sneaking in there and keeping those 2 riders honest. But back in behind them, there is a fist fight going on. A bunch of riders that you mentioned, a number of them there. You can see them there coming into turn number 3, not that far behind our race leaders.
And our cameraman in turn 3 reminded us that it's Jeff Williams, whose name I forgot. He, of course, was at the front of that group, so a little embarrassing to forget Jam and Jeff.
He is sponsored by his own company, Williams Paving. Oh, now Reedman looked like he had the inside line, but boy, he just about had his front wheel taken away from him by Mr. Zoke.
Not exactly sure why Reedman's shopping there. Maybe looked more dramatic than it was, but here we are in the back straight, and Reedman's bike has typically been very impressive there. That bike has very good power and seems equal to the BMW's. Very close on that drag strip, and there you can see that battle for 4th is still closer than you would expect.
And Williams is definitely a part of it, no question about that. It never ceases to amaze me, Colin, the number of times we've seen riders on these Superbikes pull the front wheel. There goes Reedman, rather. Reedman has snuck on the inside, and Zoke looks back to see if he's got any company coming.
And Zoke had a good look, and he's really been tracking just the 2 who are now in front of him. But remember, he's looking to finish. He needs a solid finish, nothing crazy, but he can't afford to get tangled up in other people's craziness.
He looked for all the world like he was going to take a stab at Kenny Reedman in turn 2 there, but that didn't materialize.
On board with Reedman, we're heading through turn 9, 8, 9, and 10 are kind of a funnel, and here Reedman decides to just cheat a little bit over and gets it done very early, and we know that Jordan is not going to throw up a fight. He cannot afford to get tangled up in anything. Here we see it again. The bike at the back is Reedman, and he pretty much beelines to the passing line he's after, and of course this is the final turn, and the question always is what will happen on the last lap, because the math usually works in Zoke's favor.
And we're on board with Zoke right now, as a matter of fact, chasing Kenny Reedman on the Kawasaki and Ben Young on the 86 BMW, and Riedman staying right with Young there, and it looks like they're starting to pull away a bit from our champion.
And of course, we've seen over and over here, and I don't mean about Jordan's Oak in particular, but whoever's in third or fourth, or looks like they're getting scrubbed off the leaders, they catch right back up. And Bodie Eady won here one year when we thought he wasn't with the leaders anymore, and he climbed his way back up. The leaders were slowing each other down just a bit, and Eady came through and took the win.
He went from fifth to third right through that series of corners we just watched. As a matter of fact, made his pass coming out of 8. Now steaming down into turn 1, and they are as close as ever they were. Colin, you're absolutely correct. The distance that Zook was behind, he is cleanly made up.
Heading down through turn 2, double apex. Everybody's fairly conservative here. Young had a huge fall here a couple of years ago, but there's no need for that kind of drama as Riedman goes shopping up the inside, and it's getting a little more exciting just when I tell you everyone's being careful.
Well, there's some of the lap times coming up with Young, obviously a 1:21.909. He is a fast boy out there thus far, but Zook with a faster lap at an 8:39.
And also the battle for fourth, that group are only 3 or 4 tenths off, and they are not fading back quickly, so not a lot of range, not just from the chart we saw, but just from the naked eye observing to see that battle for fourth is not disappearing out of the picture the way they did last time.
Riedman staying right in the wheel tracks of Ben Young. He followed him perfectly in his wheel tracks going through 5A, B, and C. We talk about Moss's corner. Now coming off that hill at the back straightaway, Riedman has a look to the inside. Nothing to be had there.
And Jordan Zook's happy to see those guys run side by side, slow the pace maybe a little, take it easy, no big thrills, no unneeded drama or excitement, no bumping and banging.
If the pace is slowed down though, Colin, the thrills may come from behind them. That group may well close up on them.
Well, it doesn't typically happen that that can be bridged. In the history of the series, we've almost never seen them catch the leaders, even here at Motorsport. But, you know, we do need those guys at the front to work together. If they spend too much time side by side, that tends to make it easier to catch them.
Young, Riedman, and Zook running in that order, coming out of turn 2, up into turn number 3. Riedman looked like he was going to take a stab at the cat there, but thought better of it, and again in his wheel tracks and pursuing Ben Young is Kenny Riedman.
In previous years, Jordan Zook would definitely do some of the leading. In the previous 3 years, Zook has won both the last races in the 3 seasons. That's 6 races here, and he's been able to win even when he was trying to clinch the championship. But this year just isn't playing that way, and we don't see the tiger that normally is Jordan Zook. Yeah. That doesn't mean he can't pounce on the last lap. He is an artist here on the last lap and has pulled off some wins we did not expect. But right now, he just seems to be sticking to that game plan he explained.
On board with Riedman now. We pull up right alongside Ben Young, and we make the pass going into turn number 8 on the outside. Nice move by the speed man.
And you watch Young there, he swung out almost immediately like he was thinking about what you could do if you needed to. And I can't overemphasize in this section of the track how important it is to have a plan for the last lap. A couple of years ago, I criticized Riedman for being too obvious in what his plan was, but this year he's been more careful and seems to have more of a variety of choices to his plan. And these two know each other well, and they get along and they trust each other. But on the last lap, you know, there aren't a lot of atheists in a bomb hole.
You know, we talked about Jordan's dominance of this series over the last few years, and in fact, it's been since 2013, Colin, that we've gone down to the final race. Zook has almost has wrapped it up rather every year previous to the final race since 2013. And by the way, it was Alex Welsh on board a Suzuki rather that challenged Zook at Mont Tremblant at the final race of that year.
Yeah, so that was 5 years ago. This year the first time, and now we're on board with Trepagny. That's Matt McBride on his rider's choice.
Big moment for
BMW,
McBride.
just as I said the name of the bike. That was a close call and surprising with TC and everything, but it just shows you how dramatic it can be when you're riding hard on one of these Superbikes.
He had some air under his butt that time. He was right up out of the saddle on that one, and I'm sure it shook him up a bit, but he'll shake that off like a dog on a dock.
But it did set up Trepagny, who's now got Leon and Daly right in front of him, so he's finally starting to move. I really thought he'd be on the move earlier. I thought he might be able to tag on with our battle, our trio who raced for the lead today and raced for the lead yesterday. And, you know, a lot of people were thinking, we're back at Motorsport last year. Trepagny was the star of the show but didn't win. This could have been Trepagny's year, we thought, to break through. Instead, Ben Young broke through.
Quite so. And Leon, again, we comment on Michael Leon, the veteran. He's been around for quite some time. He's been #1 in the Race Super Series, been #1 in the SOAR Series. He was 3rd fastest qualifier at Atlantic Motorsport Park. And again, earlier comment that he gets faster and faster as the year goes on, and he is definitely part of the conversation. We're looking at him right now, as a matter of fact, from Trepagne's BMW.
And you can see Trevor Daly, who is on it big time on that Kawasaki. Trevor is a never say die kind of guy, and he's keeping the pace relatively close with a lot of guys slipstreaming behind him. If they work together, well, we'll see what's possible. It's a long shot, but it would be an amazing thing to see some of those riders join this battle for the lead as we go on board with Young, who scored his first win, who's trying to maybe win the championship to steal it from Zoke. Riedman, who's never won a race and is overdue, as is Trepagny, and then people like Leon, who are looking for his first podium in the National Tour.
Yeah. Riedman commenting yesterday on the podium, as a matter of fact, after finishing 2nd to Ben Young, he commented that he'd finally beaten Jordan Zoke. That's something he's been trying to do for a number of years. Well, he finally beat him yesterday, but he still finished 2nd.
On to the front straight. Riedman leads another lap, but I think the way it's been going, almost all the laps up until now have been led by Young. So I think he's in pretty good shape to take the bonus points for the most laps led. But he's, I'm sure, doing the math, and I'll bet you his team are showing that on his pit board, so he knows how to get those extra points and take them away from Zoke. Of course, you know, Riedman would like as many points as he can get, but he's not in the running. He hasn't done any other rounds except yesterday's. So he wants to win. That's Riedman's goal right now. He wants to join Young, and the last time we had first-time winners was 5 years ago, and that was Jody Christie and Bo Eadie.
Well, Ben Young has got the blue face on again today. He won yesterday, and I'm sure he is stoked to come away from this racetrack with a double.
Heading up the back straight, time to tidy up. Get your chin down, your elbows in, your knees tucked in. Try and turn your ankles, move your toes, do everything you can. Watch the tack and pay attention to the guy in front, because you're going to be really close as you suck up into the slipstream.
Playing a very clean race here, Colin, as they were coming out of 5. I looked at that gutter that's off to riders right, and we have seen on occasion race leaders make their way over to there and stir up a bit of gravel for those in pursuit.
Well, that was one of the hundreds of tricks in Steve Crevier's bag of tricks, particularly at what we would call the old Motorsport before it was widened and repaved and whatnot. And, you know, there's a lot of tricks that come from our middleweight class where the bikes are very, very evenly matched. But Superbike's pretty evenly matched these days, too, and these guys are demonstrating it. Now let's look at those lap times, and the pace has drifted.
Yes.
So Daly, pretty much running the same pace he ran early, is now by far the fastest guy going, and Trepagny, Leon, McBride, Williams are in the same neighborhood. So you got to be careful if you slow up a bit, and with Riedman in the lead, and he said yesterday he tried to slow the pace a bit, take it easy on the tires, and kind of save everything for late in the race. That's not a bad plan, and at Motorsport it's often gone that way. Not so much the last couple of years, but the downside to this plan is right now those guys in the back of this shot are going quite a bit faster than our leaders, and when you're making it up at half a second a lap, you can bridge the gap.
And Daly in the lead of that pack. He, of course, sees the leaders up front, realizes he's closing in on them, and that gives him just a little more incentive to keep his head down.
Well, when you're racing, you're constantly thinking you're catching the guys ahead. You're trying to convince yourself that it's possible. Here's Trepagny making a crazy move up the inside.
Oh, wow, contact between Michael Leon and Trepagny, and Trepagny shaking his head as though it was Leon's fault. I don't know who you would find fault with that one, but Trepagny doing a great job of gathering up. First, Trevor Daly just about took Daly out of it as well, and now he's trying to catch Leon.
Let's go back and watch all of this again. So we are on board with Trepagny. He is trying to make up some ground. He's a man on a mission, trying to bridge this gap to the leaders. Now that's Daly on his left, who's been leading this pack most of the way, setting the pace, driving them along. Leon is finally in front. We know that BMW's fast, but right now Trepagny is in tight. Leon has no idea he's there. Leon just carves down on the normal line, and big surprise there, and I think Leon got clipped. Foot peg. Okay, now we'll see from on board with T-Rev, and you can see that that could have got hugely ugly, and it would have probably taken Trevor too. So good for these guys, but they cannot race that way and still catch the leaders. Right here, they need to be organized, they need to be in line astern, they need to slipstream, they need to help each other. And now we're on board, and this is Trevor Daly and his older Kawasaki, and he's trying to work that draft, and he's in the back of that shot, and you can see, I think Jeff Williams is with those guys still too.
Yeah, and Matt McBride as well. Here we are on board with Ben Young, Braveheart, as he chases Kenny Reedman into turn number 8. And it looks like he's lining them up for a pass in 9. Ben Young, no, not there, not by a long shot.
I think that was more just Young trying a different line, looking to see how the math works, and I'm not sure who that was on the inside, looking for Trepanier. Oh, it would have, of course, been Trevor.
Trevor, yeah.
So Trevor, after being 4th for much of this race and dragging that group forward, he has not given it up either, and that race for second, honestly, is race for 4th, the second group, is the better race right now.
Yeah, quite so. I think I saw Zoke look back again, last shot we had of him there coming out of turn number 1. We're on board right now with Jordan Zoke, and he's playing a smart race, Colin, but that group is really closing now.
I'll tell you what's going on. So the other 2 riders in front of Zoke are getting +0 because there's people right with them. There's no margin. Zoke isn't because he's the 3rd of the group. He would have just seen probably +2, and he's going, hold on, +2, what's that? So he looked to see if it was some kind of mistake, and here we are with the +2 guys. This is Leon, this is Trepanier, this is Daly, and these guys are hammered down. They have caught up, and you try and fool yourself that you're catching the guys who are leading, but when the distances on the markers get closer, man, is this a motivator.
Trepanier pulls out now on Leon. He pulls to Ryder's left. Right alongside him for a moment there. He has made the pass and made it cleanly this time. No contact this time around.
No, but I think Leon was being a little bit careful, and there you can see Young maybe trying to figure out what it's going to take to make this Reedman thing work, and oh, here he goes.
Dives to the inside, has taken the race lead away from Kenny, or has he taken it away? They were absolutely side by side on the exit of turn number 10, but it is Ben Young who has the point.
Well, and you can't help but wonder, is that another form of replay of what we're going to see on the last lap? We're on board with Jordan Zoke. He's holding station, watching to see what these 2 guys are up to. He knows the second group's coming. Young tight up the inside. Reedman leaves him some room, but Young leaves Reedman some room, and here Reedman pulls the trigger and gets the throttle going a little bit earlier and almost gets back past. Now, if we watch the next shot, you'll see the finish line in orange, and that's where the actual wire in the track that activates the scoring is right there. Yeah. So Young would have led and would have won, in theory, by what, a bike length.
So a little bit more heavy on the throttle hand would have benefited Kenny Reedman that time around. Now Trepanier, Leon, and Daly running in that order, and they're running 4, 5, and 6, and they're trying to catch up to the top 3, and they're doing a gall darn good job of it.
Well, you say heavy on the throttle hand, Frank. Remember, the fuel loads are going down, the tires are getting worn, you're playing with your traction control. Jordan has told us about the different settings and how he likes to make small as well as perhaps larger adjustments. Everybody in this 6-pack, it almost is now, these 6 guys, is trying to figure out what will get them the opportunity to win. And of course, that group in second are almost there now. It's really close, and Daly, who was the pusher for so long, is now fallen to the back, which is unfortunate, but he looks like he just doesn't quite have the pace. Maybe he overdid it on the tire.
Could well be, although there again, if we get on that back straight dyno, perhaps Daly can use that the draft created by Williams, or by Trepanier rather, and Leon to his advantage now.
And that was a move. I watched Reedman set that up, and he had a run on the inside. I think he could have made that work if he had to. That may be another last lap thing, but of course you got to do the math backwards because you're thinking about the back straight and who's likely to slipstream who they think of the group has the advantage, the most power in the draft.
Well, Young leading this one. And we're on board right now with Trevor Daly once more. That's Michael Leon just in front. Daly going just a little bit wide there, squares it up and gets a good shot now.
He's got some kind of problem.
Something's happened. Oh, wow, is it ever? It's way off the pace now. Something, oh no, Daly's gone down.
Not sure what happened there. The bike was acting up. He didn't get the slipstream. It may be he was trying to make an adjustment and just drifted a little bit wide. I think he's okay, as we see a lapper deciding to go into the pit lane. So this means Trepanier and Leon are on their own, and they have less than a second to bridge to catch Jordan Zoke and get into this dispute for the lead.
That was a tough break for Trevor Daly, the wild child, ending up on his backside at trackside after a terrific race. Really unfortunate for Daly.
And you got to think that was a mechanical issue. You could hear the bike making a strange sound. So frustrating. It gets so close, and he's had several good rides and was spectacular at Shubenacadie 3 weeks ago.
If it was just a matter of, we're on board with Kenny Reedman. Now we're taking a stab into turn number 3, but No, not going to happen this time. That onboard camera caught me out on that one, Colin.
And I just wonder, has Young seen the wheel? So does Young know that he needs to tighten it up? We know Riedman has tightened it up in turn 3 late in yesterday's race, but Young was gone in front by just a little, and there we were on board briefly with Trepagny. He's got Leon to draft with. That should help. These two need to stay in line and try and catch this leading group for 3. If they did, I can't remember the last time people climbed into the lead discussion. As we went by Trevor's bike leaning on the wall there, you can see the slippery course flag there warning about Trevor's debris.
I just can't quite understand why he crashed on board with Kenny Riedman once more. He looks to the inside again. The opportunity taken away for a Ben Young, and again, Jordan sitting back in there and soaking it all in.
And it didn't look like the 4th and 5th place guys of Trepagny and Leon made up very much, but they're coming up on a lapper. This might help.
Most definitely it will help, well, depending on how they come up on them. Now they're running 3 bikes virtually as one as they steam down into turn number 1, and they will likely reach up with that slower rider. Somewhere between 2 and 3 would be my prediction.
And I think that Samuel Desmarais, he's on a 600, but he is a fast rider. He's likely to be our Brooklyn Cycle Pro Rookie of the Year award winner. And here's Desmarais heading into turn 3 and probably is seeing the blue flag right about now.
Yeah, Desmarais has had a very, very good year. He has on that 600cc motorcycle, and as per instructions, the riders are told to hold their line, don't move around, and that's exactly what Desmarais did. Now he moves out a little bit to the right as he lets the train through.
And he glanced back and saw Trepagny and Leon, so that will be good too. So that will not be in effect, but maybe Leon and Trepagny have caught up a little bit as we go on board. This is on board with Riedman. He's in second. He is going to pass as we go through the debris there that was caused by the Daly incident a couple of laps ago. And Riedman is making the move early, Frank.
Holy cow, is he ever. He's hard on the gas now and has pulled out and made the pass well before turn 8.
And I don't know if you caught that. Young looked around like, where's Jordan? Like, wouldn't he be in that draft too? And normally you might expect, whoa, Riedman, a little bit sketchy on the entrance to 9, was maybe just a little off in his downshifting there. But yeah, Young looked for Zoke. Was wondering why Zoke didn't come by with Riedman.
Quite so. Trepagny now dragging Michael Leon along. Leon has not been able to stay with the pace, at least has not shown Trepagny a wheel. I don't know whether there's any hard feelings about that contact earlier in this race, but nonetheless, those two riders involved in their own private duel for 4th spot.
Yeah, I don't view it that way, Frank. I don't think they're in a private duel at all. I think Trepagny in particular, all he can think about is, I'm close enough. If these brakes can go my way, there's another lapped rider every time they encounter a lapped guy. It could just slow them down slightly. If the top 3 hiccup just a bit, like, you know, Trepagny's not quite there, he is, so he's still about a second back. But yeah, this is going to be good for Trepagny, what's coming up here.
Down into Moss's corner we go, and it is on the exit of Moss's that the race leaders have now gathered up. The other rider, Kenny Riedman, gets by him cleanly. Here we go with Ben Young. We're on board with the Barry Trim and Mold Scott-built and ACF 50 sponsored BMW S1000 RR. Now on board with Trepagny running in 4th spot. Oh, he's cleanly past a lapper.
But Leon didn't, so Trepagny's on his own now. He doesn't have a drafting partner, but he has almost bridged the gap. The next 3 or 4 turns that he can do them the way he's capable of, it's not good for Leon. He might still make it, but Trepagny's there, Frank.
He is there. Will Zoke let him by, though? Well, of course, Zoke is riding for a championship, so he's probably not going to be worrying about getting into too much of a dice with him. He's going to play it smart. That's a certainty. The question is, does Trepagny have the oomph to get it done?
With less than 2 laps to go, the best thing Trepagny has going for him is he is unexpected. Zoke knows it could happen. The other 2 don't. But Trepagny hasn't been riding with these guys. He doesn't know the lines. He hasn't seen the practice moves. He hasn't seen the backstretch. He hasn't seen 8, 9, and 10 where the race will be decided. So he's going to have to, if he can do it, pull some kind of Hail Mary. We're on board with our leader looking backwards. You can see Young there didn't look super aggressive. He is not in a rush to make the pass. That means that Young thinks that something further along the lap could work, or maybe he just doesn't want to show anything. And look at that. You can hear the crowd respond. They see Trepagny is drafting Zoke, our theoretical champion to be if things play out this way. And you were right, Frank. Zoke is not going to put up any kind of a fight.
There goes Trepagny as he rockets past the defending champion and moves solidly into 3rd spot. Now sets in pursuit of the race leaders.
Good shot there. Trepanier a little bit tight, and he is on top of the battle for first.
There
Remember,
goes Young
Frank,
now.
Just about a lap to go here, and Young looking to make a move on Riedman. I think that's practice. I still don't think that was a force-it move, and we're coming on to the front straight, and Zoke is in fourth, and Leon might be able to catch them. We only have this one lap left in 2018 to do it.
Oh, give me strength. When's the last time we saw a Superbike race like this in Canada?
Did you see Young's bike spinning the tire? He is all out right now. He wants to win. To have any chance to beat Jordan, he has to win.
He goes wide in turn 2, squares it up and takes a run at Kenny Riedman now, heading into turn 3. Riedman's got the inside line. Young has nowhere to go except around the outside, and he's doing just that. Ben Young, Braveheart, has taken the race lead, or has he? They're side by side now as they make their way under the bridge and head down into turn number 2.
And Jordan Zoke saying, please guys, don't put it in a pile where I can't get through. I just want to finish. I don't need to win. But look at this. Jordan has won from this position before.
Trepanier's not done with this either. Now Jordan's on the move, and Michael Leon having a career ride, staying right with our race leaders.
Going by the Kawasaki of Daly, and here we go for the lead for the guys who've been leading the whole way.
On board with Ben Young now. Ben will have the outside line heading into turn number 8. Trepanier looks to the inside. Nothing to be had there, but look at the momentum that Braveheart carries through 8 into turn number 9 and right to the inside of Kenny Riedman now. Riedman has the inside line in 10, and Riedman comes out of turn 10 with the race lead and perhaps the race win. Yes, he's done it. Kenny Riedman has finally won his first Mopar CSBK National Championship feature.
Great last lap from Riedman. He had a lot of the good cards, and he played them well. I think Young could have won that. The two of them chased each other wide in 9, and that almost opened the door for Trepanier, but I don't think he had a plan up his sleeve because he just didn't know what to expect. And Leon, I think, could have got Zoke, but he was a little bit careful. So really exciting finish there, and a lot of guys are going to be saying, man, that could have been me, but it wasn't them. Riedman had the best plan, and he executed. Now he's won his first career pro national feature event, so that's 2 winners in a row, just like 5 years ago.
You see Leon pulling over a little prematurely there. I was wondering what he was doing. I think he stopped to do a burnout. Now the Riedman team, they're all over their race winner there. Roland Riedman giving his son a big hug rather. There's Doc Walker and Kenny's mom, and of course the Beard and Scott Cameron, the crew. They got the band back together, I guess you could say, Colin.
Well, got to talk about Scott Cameron. He built a really fast Kawasaki. That's been the case for years. He built their Triumphs before that, and Cameron certainly a successful tuner for a number of riders, including Brett McCormick, but it's got to be great to win for Kawasaki. The last time Kawasaki won, 7 years ago here in the rain, where Jordan Zoke upset Brett McCormick, who was getting ready to have a perfect season. Jordan instead won on the Kawasaki.
Yeah, and to put it in context too, it was Brett that crashed out in turn number 1 that gave Jordan that win. It may have turned out differently otherwise. Who knows?
Well, you never can tell, but to finish first, you must first finish, and Riedman is certainly demonstrating that. Here's our results. Riedman just ahead of Young, Trepanier, and Zoke. Leon in 5th, could have won 2. McBride makes it to 6th from Williams, and Tremblay, remember, he's on 1,000 all year long. He's been on the 600. Ernie in 9th, Mitch Card on his Fast Company R1 in 10th, even though he's injured.
And the top 7 riders all within a second of one another as they finish that race.
Now let's head to the podium.
It was a very good time out there. I had not a very good start, but just a normal start, and then I was following Sebastian Tremblay. Things were just opening up, so I was glad to see I was catching up on Jordan, Ben, and Kenny, and I was just like, okay, let's try to keep up with them and be patient on the back straight. I'm very pleased to get the bike to the podium for Martin Richard and be my girlfriend.
It was amazing to ride with Kenny again. It's so good to see him back and see him back smiling again, and it was an awesome one by him. And we gave our all on the last lap. Kenny and I, we definitely let it hang out. We bumping through 8 and 9, and it was a lot of fun.
And now a chance to chat with Kenny. Boy, I've been waiting for this for a while. Ken, congratulations.
Oh, thanks. That was a fun one. You guys enjoy that? Yeah, me too. Just pretty cool to come out here with no pressure and really just get to ride without any expectations, and finally brought home a win. So, I don't know what to say. That was a lot of fun. Thanks to everyone that supported me. I'm sorry, I don't know what to say. I'm just so happy right now.
At a loss for words, Kenny. We're very happy for you.
Yeah, thanks.
Jordan, congratulations. Well done, young man.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the tougher championships we've ever won, just because we've had just so many little gremlins, and that's a part of racing. You just got to battle through them. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to sit behind Kenny and Ben here. I just wanted to use their draft to suck me around the track and stay out of trouble with all the guys behind me. I knew they'd be racing. It's the last race of the year. Everybody wants to do well. Kenny, he's a smart racer. He was getting in front of Ben. I think he knew Ben had a little more speed, and Kenny was slowing him up a little, trying to make a race of it, and just try to outfox him, which he did, obviously. But I was like, no, because the lap times would slow right down, and then they were catching us from behind, and I just didn't want to get in any kind of battle. I was like, this is perfect. We got +3 to the guys. This is I'm not going anywhere. And I want to say a special thanks to all the fans. Thank you so much for coming out.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, your champion, the people's champion, Jordan Zook. Oh, cool. We now move on with our podium presentations, and we were going to recognize the Team of the Year is up next, and we're going to have John Long, our marshal for Grand Marshal for the weekend, presenting this. And for this year, the Team of the Year award goes to Ben Young. Braveheart's team has taken Team of the Year. They have taken Team of the Year. And it looks like they're going to have a group celebration by the looks of it. As Scott from Hindle comes up here, and they're going to get the whole team up. Those are instructions from John Long, and we're definitely following what he tells me to do, that's for sure. Here comes Scott Young, Ben's father, and of course Willie Voss, who's been spinning wrenches for them. Benny's mom and his girlfriend Jane all up here on the podium, and boy are they happy and somewhat surprised. Did you see the look on Braveheart's face when we said that? It caught him entirely off guard. And now getting congratulations from Samuel Trepanier as well. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your Team of the Year for 2018 in this, the Mopar Canadian National Superbike Champions. You just don't get any better than that. Congratulations to you all. Well done. Ladies and gentlemen, your Pro Rookie of the Year, Samuel Demaray. Sam receives the #1 plate here from John Long, and he's also about to receive a big paycheck from Brooklyn Cycle Racing. Sam is so happy to receive that big check because he's already spent the money. Samuel, our congratulations en français, if you prefer.
Thank you very much to come here to see my first win of Pro Rookie of the Year. I'm very happy, and I have no word to explain how I'm happy right now. Thanks to everybody who helped me. It'll be a very good season, and I achieved my 2 goals. Get the Pro Rookie of the Year and finish top 5 on the championship in 600. I'm very happy.
And well, you should be. Ladies and gentlemen, your Pro Rookie of the Year for 2018, winner of the Brooklyn Cycle Racing Pro Rookie of the Year Award, Samuel Demaray.
Looking at our final point standings for 2018, Zook hangs on to take the title after a good battle with Ben Young throughout the year. Trepanier works his way up to 3rd. Daly 4th from Leon Tremblay, who spent most of the season on his 600. Jeff Williams, Kazaz, another 600 rider. Mitch Card, who was hurt part of the year. And co-9th Samuel Demaray, our Pro Rookie of the Year award winner this season.
Well, that wraps up the 2018 Mopar Canadian Superbike Championships. On behalf of Colin Fraser and myself and the entire CSBK crew, thanks so much for being with us. We look forward to broadcasting again for you in 2019. Today's race is brought to you by Dalton Timmis Insurance, Honda, Magnetti Morelli, offered by Mopar, Drift, and Dunlop.